Hello, my name is Luis Reina. I work for IBM, and in this video I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna describe the governance and quality data mart that you can easily build with IBM Knowledge Catalog. Let me show you the agenda. Okay, I'm gonna explain what is this governance and quality data mart that, as I said, you can easily build to have all the information contained in IBM Knowledge Catalog, the governance and quality information. I'm gonna explain how to enable it, 3 steps, very easy steps, and I'm gonna get into the data model because the data mart has a public model. So I'm gonna try to explain a little bit parts of that model so you can consume that data mart from any BI tool or other means in an easy way. Let me start with the first part. Okay, I'm gonna oops, what is the IKC governance quality data mart? Okay, as you may know, Knowledge Catalog is our IBM governance and quality solution, a complete solution that answers all the needs for data governance, for data quality, and it has a very nice interface GUI, and you can consume it from the GUI. Also, there is an API that you can consume it easily. But apart from that, you can build automatically a data mart to consume also the information. So you have the product, the IBM Knowledge Catalog with, as I said, with the governance and quality information. And if you set it in an easy way, the product can automatically um, uh, publish all the metadata in external database that can be DB2, can be Postgres or Oracle, with all the information of the governance and quality in a public data model. So the tool will automatically create the tables. You have to tell them which DB2 with Oracle you want to use, and it will populate the information so you can later consume it with any BA tool, Cognos Analytics or other tools. You can use SQL, you're a power user, to query the public data model with all the governance and quality information, or you can use any application to consume that relational database. Okay, so this is something very interesting because it gives me a lot of functionality. Okay, so why is so powerful? First, as I said, because you can use any BI tool and you can create a nice dashboard like this one I have created with Cognos Analytics, with all your quality, with all your governance, with all your artifacts. So CDOs, data store, and other consumer can easily have the data governance information in a dashboard, in a report. But not only because of that, also you can answer any specific customer needs using this data mart and probably giving more information that even the GUI does not give you today. So for example, I create this information, this dashboard that where I can jump from business information to technical information and vice versa. So I can say, give me confidential data, and it's going to show me all the tables or the columns that has confidential data. Or I say, give me where I have first names, where I have last names, where I have email, and it will give me that information, and vice versa. I can go to a column and tell me, what is this Z01 column, what it means, and it tells me this is a last name or this is a first name. So I can in this view, I can easily show how to jump from business to technical. This is just an example, but you can answer specific use cases for any customer needs. As I said, that maybe in the GUI are not so clear today. Okay, so very powerful data mart that I can build. So how do you enable that data mart? How do you enable that so you can start consuming it? Very easy. You have to follow 3 steps. First step, you have to define database connection. Okay, and I'm gonna show you. Let me jump to the platform. Okay, so if I go here to the platform where I have all the informations here in connectivity, okay, I have all the connections. Okay, so here, for example, I have a connection. I have already defined it to external DB2, okay, where I have just the DB2 connection information. So I must say, okay, I want you to create a data mart in this database connection. So that would be the first step. Okay, second steps is to enable the data mart in the tool. Okay, you have to tell them, okay, I want this connection with this schema to keep all that information. Okay, so I jump back to the tool, and I'm gonna come here to the administration part. I'm gonna say governance and catalogs, and here there is a reporting setup where I can get in, and here you just have to give the connection. I already done, this is already set. The connection with the schema, you wanna have all that table created. Remember, you don't have to create the tables are created by knowledge catalog, okay? And only with doing that, it will create the tables, and then you have to tell them which projects and catalogs. I hope you understand this concept. The catalogs where you publish governs assets so user can consume it, and projects with you do all the job. So you're gonna say which projects and catalogs you wanna include in the reporting, which data domains with categories you wanna give. So easily you can disable or enable the categories, so all the governance artifacts are published to that categories. So you can as I say, easily enable the data mart. Okay, and as the last part, you have to do the step 3 that you have to do is tell the owner of the projects and the catalogs if they want to be part of that data mart or not. So each project catalog or each categories, it's owned by a data steward, by a person, and it has to tell if they are enabled. So let me show you that part. Okay, if I go here to the Cloud Pack for 8 again, and if I go, for example, to the projects where I have all my projects, there is, when you create a project or afterwards, if I get, for example, this quality analysis project, here in the manage control, I have that reporting on asset meta is allowed. So I can remove access, or if I disallow, so this information will not go, or I can grant access, so the information contained in this project goes in the data mart. So that will be done by the owner of the project. The same for the catalogs, where I have my catalogs. I want to tell if I want to allow that information to go there. So if I go to this, for example, people catalog has contained no assets, but I can set I want to allow or disallow that the information in this catalog goes in the data mart. That will be done by the owner. And in the same way as the last part, the categories, if I go here to the governance, I go to the categories, my data domains, okay, so I can get any category, and here in access control, again, I want to allow or disallow reporting. You can do that when you create it for the first time, but then you can change it. This means that if you do this, this information will go in the data mart or not. Okay, so these are the parts, the steps you need to do to be able to enable. Very easy, very quick. In few seconds, you will have created your data marts. You will have the information automatically fed into that data mart so you can consume it. Okay, so let's understand to the most complex part, understanding the data model, the data mart model. Okay, so the data mart model is a public model where many tables that is automatically created, that is populated automatically by the tool, but you need to understand the tables to be able to get the value. Okay, so I'm going to try to explain the most important tables so you can play with them, and you can, once it's enabled, get the value out of it. Okay, so this is a public model that later I will give you a link where you have that model. Okay, so let me start explaining some of the tables. Okay, the main table, or the highest level table, is what we call the containers table. Okay, the containers table contains a few fields I'm going to explain, but don't think a container is a Docker, so it has nothing to do with it. We call it containers because it contains information, but contains the projects and catalogs that are defined. Okay, so it contains information about projects and catalog. So let me jump to dbeaver. dbeaver, it's universal, SQL tool where you can make queries, okay, to any database. So I'm using dbeaver to show you the content of one data mart. So here I have a database called data mart. I have a schema called data mart, and inside the data mart, the tool has created all these tables. So you see, all these tables are the tables that form my quality and governance data mart. Okay, so I'm gonna show you these tables by querying the data. Okay, so here I'm gonna do a quick query, for example, to the containers table. Okay, the containers table I show you. If I do select asterisk from containers, it's gonna show me here in that table a container ID. That's identification ID, because later you wanna join this table with others. So the container ID is the identification of the container. Again, the container is just a catalog or a project, nothing else. It's nothing to do with Docker's, Podman, or anything of containers we are used to. So it's a catalog or a project, okay? And hopefully you understand what's a project. Project is where I do all my work. I can add tables, connection. I can do jobs to do ETL. I can do many quality profiling. Many things is done in project, and catalogs is where I publish all my assets so the user can consume it. Okay, so here, as you see, I have this catalog called Linaje, this test datos, analysis Linaje is a project. So all the information here, I have Antari, also I have a project, but also I have a catalog. Okay, and here's with the description. So the containers table is the table I have all my catalogs and project defined. Okay, uh, information defined in the data mart. Okay, so this is an important table. Okay, um, let me um, let me jump back to the presentation. Okay, that I show you. Okay, a project table is just has a little more information about projects like these enforced members, depend how the users are created, because also there is a table with the user information. Let me jump back here to dbbeaver. So for example, if I show you here a users profiles table, are the user defined in the tool. So if I go down here, you have that user profiles with informations about users. Okay, I can do select asterisk, or I just can say view data. This is the same, and it's gonna give me that I have this user. This is the user ID that identified uniquely with the display name and other information from the user. So the user profile, the user defined in the platform. It can be the data stewards, it can be administrators with the different roles in the platform. Okay, so this is another table we use a lot to know who is part of a category, who is the data steward, who is, but then the user define it in the platform. Jumping back to the presentation. Okay, another table that has important about the containers, I remember containers only catalogs or project, is what is called container assets. Okay, container assets is a table that contains the different assets that are inside the projects or the catalogs. Okay, and again, the different assets, that can be a connection, it can be a table, it can be ETL job, it can be a profiling of the quality. So everything I do, it's called an assets. Okay, and that table contains information of the different assets. So for example, if I go back to dbbeaver, okay, let me jump here again. I'm gonna do a query in this table, select asterisk from container assets. It's gonna show me all the assets defined in the different projects, or in the different projects, or in the different catalogs. And I can say, okay, let's see what for example, types of assets I have. So if I go here, I have an asset type. So I can say, okay, show me an asset type, the different asset types. So I can do, for example, distinct. Okay, distinct asset type. If I execute this query, it's going to show me the different asset type defining. I have data rules, I have jobs, so I have metadata import to import metadata, enrichment to do quality analysis. So all the different assets that are created, and I can do many queries to understand the different asset type that you have in that table. So for example, you have, let me go to container assets table here in dbbeaver. So you see the information. This is another import table with many columns. Okay, I have the container ID that identifies the container, the asset ID, the name of the assets, the description, who is the owner of that asset, the user that owns the asset. So a lot of information I can have, and depending if it's a data asset, it has some information about the data assets in another table. So let me jump back to the presentation. Where I'm going to show you another interesting table, the container data assets. The container data asset that is related here, this is the the primary key and foreign key relationships. The container data asset contains specific information about data assets. One of the data in the container asset, one of the container types here that you say the asset types is data assets. So we have another table for details of that data asset that is a table or a file with the information about the quality score of that, if I have done quality or if let me jump to the DB viewer and show you information about these quality, these container data assets. Okay, so if I go here, I have the container asset that contains all the assets, and specific only data ones are contained here. If I show you the content, you're gonna have information, of course, some asset ID, what is the identification of this asset unique. The container ID is the catalog or the project. If I want to know the name, I can join this table with the containers table. Okay, more information that, for example, it has a quality score of that metadata. It will have when it was imported, in which with metadata import ID, the connection, information, the number of columns, the number of rows, analyze it, when was the last profile of that table, what is the schema, what is the type of table. So many information about the data asset, analyze it, okay, that is not in the container asset. So if I jump back to the presentation here, I want you to understand that I have container data asset information about data assets, and container asset could be not only data assets, but it could be other things, as I say, as a rule or quality analysis or a connection. Okay, so container contains information, and even there is another table that contains information about the columns, because when I analyze a table, I have information about columns, and that contains data asset columns contain information about the column. For example, the quality score for a column. If I have done a profiling of that table, I will have a quality score for each of the column. Contains null, mass length, mid length. So specific information, if I have done a quality analysis of that column, is contained in this table. Okay, so I have asset in general. Of course, there's another table that was before that, the containers table. So I have the containers table. It contains only catalog and project. I have container assets that contain all the assets inside the catalog on the project in general. Then specific to data assets, we have the container data asset tables that is related to other tables, and the contain data asset column that contains specific information or more level information, more detailed information about the columns. Okay, so this is important tables that are called containers, nothing to do with their Docker's containers. Okay, so catalogs projects with the information inside. Okay, then let's jump to governance artifact. Of course, inside the tool we have information about the governance artifacts. As you know, is the categories, the glossaries, the business term. It can be data classes, it can be classification. So all that information around our governance artifact is kept in that governance artifact table, as many table related, okay, inside to know the association when I want to associate what classification associate to others. So many tables that are related around that governance artifact, but this is the main table where I have information. So let me jump to DB Viewer, okay, and show you again information about that governance artifact. So if I come here, I can do a query about that table, or I can show data. So select asterisk from governance artifacts. Okay, that is going to give me all the information about the governance artifact defined in the tool. Okay, so if I query this table, it's going to show me the identification of the artifact, the type of artifact, the glossary, in this case is glossary type, the name, description, so when it was created, who was the user. If I want to find the name, I can join this table with the user profile table to get the name, because it gives me the user ID. Okay, when this table was modified, who modified that table. So information around all the governance artifact I have defined inside knowledge catalog. Okay, so I can easily, for example, see the different artifacts types. As I say, if I show you again, I don't know what is the I'm going to show you how to join it with user profile. So for example, if I want to join it with user profile table, okay, I can show, I don't know, for example, the governance artifact name. I can show the governance artifact for example, artifact type, okay? And then I want to show who is the on this table, who is the creator of the table. So created by is the user, but because I want to see the name, I want to go to the user profile and say username, okay? And then the join condition should be where user from the user table, the user ID equal the, for example, created by, okay? So I can have the names of that. If I execute the query, then I have the name, the artifact, and the username that I get from the other table. Okay, this is an example of who created the different artifact names. Okay, so here I have all the information about the different artifacts. Okay, um, let me jump back to the presentation. Um, I can have information about categories. Categories are the data domains that my governance artifacts are organized. So all the information about categories, how the different categories are associated within category, subcategory, to know which is the parent, which is the child. I can use this table, who are the user that collaborates, the data steward. I'll assign it to that categories, the tags. So a lot of and different, this table, as you know, is related to the previous one I showed you, governance artifact. So here I have information about the categories. Okay. Um, uh, all the documentation, these are some of the main tables you can use. There is others around quality that I'm going to show you now. Let me jump to dbViewer so I can go back to all the tables. So here in dbViewer, I have tables I have shown you, the ones related to containers, container assets, about categories to the governance categories or governance artifacts that I have shown you around here, governance artifacts, okay? And also, as I was showing you the categories table that has specific information about categories. So here I have all my categories defined, okay, in the data mart with these different columns that I show you in the presentation. This is the name, the description. And then if I want to know, for example, information about quality, I have this DQ data quality tables where I have the rules defined for data quality, the checks. For example, in this table, DQ for dimensions, I have the DAMA dimensions, accuracy, complaint, consistent, defined in that. If I have enforcement rules, okay, that need to be enforced, will be defined here. For example, data quality rules definition, I can do according this table. I have the definition defined for this tool, the bindings to create the rules. For example, the rules, actually rules created, I can show you here some of the rules created when they were executed, so the rules executed. So if I show you that table, it tells me when this rule was executed, this ID rule that you can see the name joining with this other table. So a lot of information also about quality executions. Okay, so at the end, it's a lot of information you have in the model, but I try to show you the main one, the main I use. Okay, of course everything is documented. I have a table documentation with all the tables documented. So you wanna understand in detail, you can go to this documentation. Let me jump to show you here in my browser. So if I have here all my reporting tables with all the information, so for example the containers, if I go here to that containers table in the documentation I put, and I have here the information, container ID, identify the catalog or the projects, the type, if it's a catalog or it's a project, the name, the description. Is governed means if it has rule enforcement inside the governance. Okay, so who created the container, the catalog. So all the information, as I said, is documented by IBM. So you can go to this table I have shown you, the container asset, container data asset column I have shown you, the user profile, everything is documented here in our documentation. Okay, but you can start playing with the table I have shown you because you can get a lot of valuable information. Let me jump back to the presentation. And also you have sample queries. In this other link, you have queries you can use to get information for the data mart. Most of the queries, if you understand them well, you can do it yourself, but here you have sample queries. So for example, going back to the documentation, if I go here to the sample query, you have here queries that you can use to get some information, the number of catalogs on project. So if I execute that, you can, for example, execute that, you could get the information, the number of asset or catalogs. So you have many queries you can use to get information. The data model is big. It's not very complex because you don't use all the tables. A few of them are the most important, and then you, as you want to do more complex things, maybe you can add other tables to your reports. But the ones I have shown you are the main tables that you can use to get information. Let me go back here to the presentation. Also here, well, the setting up the report, I already explained it, but here you have information, more detail about the reporting, the 3-step I mentioned. Okay, and this is the end of the presentation, that I wanted really to show you the value of this data mart, explain a little bit of some of the tables, that everything is public, that you can easily use because you don't have to do anything to create this data mart. You just set it, and you don't have to create the tables, you don't have to populate the information. It will be automatically done in any external database that you set, as I said, with the connection, to create this data mart, and later you just consume it. Yes, you have to spend some time understanding the model. The model is also in the documentation. If you go to the documentation, you can see the model I showed you at the beginning detail. So hopefully it helps a little bit to understand the governance and quality data mart for IBM Knowledge Catalog, and it was useful to all of you. Thanks a lot for your time.